fare Chiellini, poi il limite della destra, Tevez da solo, Tevez al limite dell'area, fa fuori tutti, Tevez, si apre la porta, Tevez, gol, da dietro, Pirlo dentro,
Buongiorno Bianconeri, welcome back to the All Juve Cast channel. Of course, All Juve all the time, and it is a match day. We have Juventus versus Monza. I am going to be bringing you a live watch along as well, but before to get things ready to kind of do the warm-up, I guess, you got to have a little training session before we get to the goods. I got Omer with me here today. We're going to tackle Juve Monza and look at this game. We're going to tackle some of the news. Obviously, we're fresh off that live show with Romeo Agresti, who gave us a lot of interesting details circulating around Juventus. It was a great show. I want to just take a second to thank everybody, too, for all the DMs and all the great comments and whatnot about loving the interview that we had with Romeo Agresti. I want to reiterate to everybody he had a great time. He is going to be returning, all right? So like he said on the show, it's a great chance for him to strengthen his English, give more to the English Juventini community. So it's going to be great stuff. I want to remind everybody, if you're here and you have found this channel and you're a diehard Juve fan, make sure you smash the subscribe button, all right? And everybody, please like the video as we get into this. So, Omar and myself are going to take a look at Juve Monza. Right now, in the background, I do have the Milan game going on. It's an absolute thrashing. Sassuolo up 4-1 right now, getting into the 70th minute. As far as Juventus goes, hey, we've got a lot of storylines that we are going to tackle. The Ultras, we could see the Ultras outside the stadium, big banners, speaking to Gianni Agnelli and whatnot. And then, whether or not they're going to be getting into the stadium anytime soon remains to be another story. But like Romeo Agresti said, he would like to see it, because obviously our atmosphere has suffered tremendously in the stadium.
Would, don't we?
What?
We all would, don't we?
Oh, of course. We need that. And he spoke to the atmosphere since that stadium opened up and what it was way back when it first opened compared to now. I loved the way he said too, hot. It was a hot stadium. You know, he called the atmosphere hot. Now we got to get back. We got some work to do. But the Ultras are outside, so we'll see if anytime soon they can get sorted. And then, of course, the big story of the day. Pogba, Vlahovic, De Sciglio all in there. I believe De Sciglio has found himself on the starting lineup on the right side. We have McKennie as a done deal to Leeds that we're going to talk about as well. And, of course, Pogba. Finally, he should be getting some minutes in there. Max Allegri alluded to it in his press conference yesterday. 30 minutes in his legs, 30 minutes in Vlahovic's legs. De Sciglio may have 90 in his legs. Omer kind of chuckled about that with De Sciglio in there. Hey, that's Allegri's boy.
I told you yesterday, Allegri will have to answer that someday. Like, what's the deal with you and De Sciglio?
Yeah.
How's the relationship between you two?
It's great. It's great. We're gonna say what's up to some folks in the live chat. Bickham G, hello, ciao, buongiorno. Remo, good morning, everyone. Forza Juve, let's grab those 3 points. Absolutely. Bickham G asking, is this a goalkeeper jersey? He is loving it. Hey, not just a goalkeeper jersey, okay, but as you can see, Nico. So this was from when Buffon left us the first time, obviously, then decided to go to PSG. They're great, okay? And obviously in his birthday being yesterday and whatnot, a lot of celebratory tweets out there and well wishes for the one and only Gigi. They're great, but they've got a weird fit to them. I will say this. If you've ever got one of these goalkeeper kits, weird fit to them, but loving it.
If I ever go out with a shirt, it will probably be a goalkeeper shirt.
Yeah.
More than like a regular method. Yeah, they're beautiful. Look at this.
They are cool. This one was fantastic. So, and I liked it too because all the other goalkeepers would pick it up and celebrate Buffon. You saw Casillas in it, Neuer. It's awesome. Fans look ready today. I hope it's loud and proud in the stadium. The atmosphere has been picking up a bit. has been picking up. Here's Anthony, good morning to you, fine gentlemen, and the rest of the AJC army. Look at everybody getting in here. Joe Cappuccino getting in there. I need that jersey. I don't know if you could probably still track these down. I'm sure. Just be careful of some fake ones whenever you get limited edition kits out there. Seen some people stung with that one. Now, Juve Monza, I'm still enjoying watching the Sassuolo beat down here. But in terms of news, Omer, should we kick things off with the McKennie sale, I guess, or loan? All right, so let's go. We're going to talk about this, and ends up being 1.5 million euro loan. Okay, there is a buy option. Was only stated that it could be a obligation. It could turn into an obligation, but obviously the criteria was not put out there. Look, if I'm looking at this, the first thing that popped into my head is obviously relegation, which makes sense. Why would McKennie do that to himself as well? So you would have to think he's trying to protect himself, his future and everything. And it's why get into that if there is the potential for relegation. That's probably the only stipulation I could see. However, all these reports are pretty vague, and they're saying that there's a bit more there. There could be a few other things as well. But if it goes through, it's a great piece of financial business, because I think it's 33 with add-ons by the time it gets said and done. So, Omer, let's get your thoughts on it, and if you're along the same lines that you're thinking it's probably just a protection against relegation.
It was in the making for quite a while, since January kicked in. We knew he was on the market. Everyone said it. The deal is actually, minus the loan, because we can't seem to sell players except for loans with options to buy, which I don't like, but it is what it is. Probably harder for us to sell now. But yeah, it leaves us kind of wide open, because Quadrado is not fit and McKennie did pretty well at right back. So it's basically DeCilio and possibly Danilo for the rest of the season. I don't think they're going to sign anyone else. Having said that, McKennie, we wanted him out. A lot of fans wanted him out, and look, we got what we wanted. Let's see if we knew what we were talking about. The price tag is encouraging. If we do get to sell him in the end for 40 million, that's great. That's a great price.
Yeah, I mean, you've got some comments coming in here that are talking about, hey, like, how on earth is McKennie worth 35 million and whatnot? Hey, look, this is one of the things I was talking about, and I even asked Romeo Gresti when he was on, is Juve going to start pushing, and teams in general going to start pushing these Prem clubs with all that money and start, hey, you guys want these players? No problem, but you're going to have to pay. And I love that, to be honest. So keep it going. Is he worth the 35? Well, hey, maybe he'll be a better player for them than he was for us over the last. He started off really strong with Juve, and then it just kind of got to this point. But
and we're getting investigated either way when we sell, when we buy. So why does it matter?
Yeah. Look at that. So morning, gents, from David and Giants there, and we're looking to get some collabs going with these guys too. Women Juve beating SAS 5-0, and SAS men beating Milan. Yes, it's I've got the Milan game going here just in the background, keeping tabs on it. Nice to see them. So Milan coming down to earth. Love to see it. Pogba and Vlahovic, Omer. So back in the squad list and whatnot. Paul Pogba, I've been saying for a while, let's judge this guy when he's actually on the pitch. Your thoughts on finally getting to see Paul Pogba, how you feel about it and whatnot. You could see some tweets and some excitement finally getting to see him. Hey, fingers crossed it all goes well and whatnot. But I can't stress enough that this guy's going to have a major impact on this team. We don't know how many minutes he's going to get. Max Allegri said yesterday in the press conference, he and Dusan have about 30 minutes in their legs. If I had to take a guess, it's probably going to be around maybe 70th minute that you'll probably see Pogba enter the game. But your thoughts and feelings on Pogba getting back in here?
Look, I'm excited. I love Pogba, in spite what a lot of people are saying. You just sometimes you watch one of his clips and some of the stuff he used to do, and you have to remind yourself what type of a player is and what he can bring to the table. And sometimes he was just phenomenal to watch. Now it has been a long time. I think his last official match was 230 days ago against Liverpool. So not longer than Chiesa, but it is a long time to be off the field. It will take some time to adjust, I believe. Monza would be a nice test, not too hard game, but could be tricky. I'm excited. I love Pogba. I always loved him. I hated when he went to Man United, and I love having him back. And I hope he'll kick things off the way we expected him to, because he is a magnificent player. When he's on his day, he's a phenomenal player to watch.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I always said when it comes to Paul Pogba and when his head's into it and his heart's into it, and he's on his day, right up there with all the elite guys. So I'm really looking forward to see him get in there finally. Vlahovic getting some minutes too, if he can, just an added bonus as we start to get into some clutch times. We've got some questions here in regards to the points. Okay, so George asking, if you had to predict, do you think we'll get the 15 points back? Well, if we look back to our interview with Romeo Gresti there on Friday, it's really hard to predict what is going to actually happen and what is going to go down. It really, really is. I mean, we haven't even, and this is the funny thing. I had to laugh at the tweet from IFTV there yesterday that just says, "What can Serie A do to catch up to the Premier League? What do you think Serie A can do?" And I just like it's just hilarious during this time. So Sassuolo bagging another one right here, 5-1. But I mean, I said for starters, how about not dishing out punishments before a verdict has even been given? That's number one. Number two, don't put monkeys on anti-racism ag posters. That's a big one. And then maybe don't post and celebrate about Kevin Spacey coming in and offer him a shirt, whatnot. There's many things they can do to fix things, but to help at least. But I had to laugh. This is the big thing that frustrates me in terms of trying to predict what is going to happen. We don't even have the actual verdict, the actual reasoning as to why we lost the 15 points in the first place. Now you're throwing a salary case on top of it. The whole thing is extremely, extremely difficult to predict. And the only thing I take out of this is exactly what Romeo Gresti stressed to us and said, it is a completely different feeling than what went down in 2006. And Juventus is ready to fight this thing with everything they have. And that's all we can take from it. And like we reiterated on that show over and over and over, like I've seemed to be saying all season long, even in terms of performances, one day at a time, right? That's all we can do, everybody. There's no way to predict this.
Yeah,
We just have to ride it out. Omar, your thoughts real quick, and then we're going to get some more comments here.
yeah, I'll add just quickly. If you want a great recap, I'll shout out our boys from Dave, not David Amaro, what's his name? Carlo Garganese and Nima. They recapped everything from all angles, and the how it should work. So they said, basically gave answers to why it's only Juve and how it should go down. So give it a listen. I think we will get those points back. I think the appeal will stand, but this is not the major case. Like, there's still the salary maneuver case, which is far more severe. So I do believe we will get points deducted for that anyway.
Yeah.
I believe this appeal will hold. The next one will be a bigger one.
Yeah. So, Colin jumping in here, massive, massive thank you here for the support and everything. Super chat enabled. If you look to support us that way, that's fantastic. Thank you again, Colin. We will get to this. The other way too, and everyone should know, is there's 20% off everything in the merch store too. So check it out. We got a ton of custom Juve designs in there. So Colin coming in here. If the points don't get put back, Juve needs to attack the FIGC. Juve has carried the league for the past 15 years. We need to sue and create enough fuss till UEFA and FIFA tell the FIGC to make this problem go away. So this is kind of along the lines of what we have all been saying for quite some time. And I agree. I've been saying since the beginning, I said the damage gets done almost immediately when the accusations are flying around and you've already punished the team before the verdict and the reasoning is out there. Juventus absolutely 1000% needs to fight back, and they need to push back. If they did it previously, maybe it changes how things go and maybe sets a different tone and whatnot. But the big thing right now is that out of Juve's camp, and according to Romeo, that they feel like it is a big injustice, and they're going to fight it. So it is what it is. But I tell you, when it comes to this whole thing and Serie A and everything, one thing that's happening that I was absolutely laughing at is yesterday, I'm sure you all heard the reports about JP Morgan was looking to potentially invest in Serie A. And then you have all these rival fans commenting under this post, which I found hilarious because they're saying, I thought the league would crumble without Juve and we needed Juve to thrive. What a moment that is going to be when all those people realize that John Elkann is one of the international council members of JP Morgan. Like, wake up, you guys, okay? These rival fans, like a bunch of you have been feeding off of us because we were keeping the league somewhat relevant through that decade of dominance that we had while you guys were complete shambles, okay?
And here how hard it is. You can now see Milan getting better. Inter couldn't cope. Like, doing it for a decade is underappreciated. If Juve performed like the guys are performing today, Inter and Milan, there would be no Italian top teams in Champions League, no nothing.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
not easy. And they're not coming. JP Morgan are not investing without Juve in the league. Milan aren't getting investigated. Inter are liquidated, and they're losing players left, right, and center. Like, this is our last chance. No one will offer us more than this.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, if you're looking at Milan now too and whatnot, like probably coming down to their actual level, probably pulling over their weight there. But even if you look to De Laurentiis and what he said recently about Juventus, it's like, hey, we've all pulled off the branches of that tree that was Juve during that time success and whatnot, and we have to take it for what it is. When we went out and brought in Ronaldo, and we were the ones that got screwed over by COVID and revenues and whatnot, because we always, and again, we chose to do that because Juve was running in the red for years before Ronaldo came in, and then all of a sudden, when you slash that revenue, it was a disaster. But hey, we were the ones that did that, brought in the extra exposure and everything like that. It is what it is. They have all fed off of Juve at one point or another. So they need to be careful about what they wish for and what they ask for. Again, you see in the comments here, Sky and DAZN right now, and subscribers and everything, and what the count is. It's hard to know if that's truly accurate or whatnot, but somewhere around 500,000 is what you're seeing out there on posts and everything. How much it's going to reflect everything, we just have to wait. We just have to wait and see. So it's going to be very, very interesting, and it's far from over. But trying to predict with these things and posts and whatnot can be very tough.
It's Italy. Like, anything can happen. What has already happened is pretty ludicrous in the way of the law works. So anything can happen. We can't predict really what
the
FIGC are going to do.
Now, We have to get into this. I do want to ask you this question about the Mercado. This was answered to us by Romeo Gresti. It's kind of a given now, the fact that the McKennie deal became a 1.5 million euro loan until that purchase kind of is definitive. But right now, Juve is not bringing anyone else in and losing McKennie. Everybody's kind of getting fired up about the right wing back scenario. And this is the funny part is we sold a midfielder. We were trying to get some money built up to get that. So didn't work out. Doesn't look like we're bringing in a fullback. How do you approach that? Here we are, first game since it happened, first game back, and DeScilio's in there. What do you think
How can we approach it? Like, we knew you were not going to sign anyone in January, so it's kind of a given that this would be the situation. Quadrado and DeScilio are just not dependable, fitness-wise. I think what we're going to see, because Allegri alluded yesterday to changing formation in the future and moving maybe to a four-man back line. I believe we are going to see Danilo pushed back to the right back position, and Gatti, Bonucci, when he becomes healthy, won't be benched all season. Rugani has done a fine job, I guess. That's what we have. If you want to throw in Barbieri in the mix, that's fine. I think it'll be a little while before we see him play, especially now that we're not in any sort of comfort zone for us. And every win is important. And actually, it's too bad because everyone is dropping points all over the place. So it's kind of, we could have been in second place. So I think just roll with it. Roll with what you have. We don't have many other options anyway.
Yeah. So it is what it is. I mean, you see the comments here. Yay, like Quadrado, DeScilio, rest of the season. You've got Barbieri too. Maybe you mix him in. Sule, I stand by the previous statement that he's not a right wing back. And I think even in the last time out we saw him where he was playing that kind of Di Maria role, whatnot, the last time he was out there, it's night and day from when you pin him to that wing and whatnot, and you ask him for more defensive duties. And then when you pin him up higher up, it's night and day from that kid. So it's not going to do him any benefit putting him there. And you run into the same thing when you've got Di Maria and you've got Chiesa out there and you put Chiesa on the right wing back. Well, the way I saw it playing out on the pitch, the way Di Maria interprets that role, he's going everywhere into pockets of space and whatnot, but he, being a left-footed, he kind of likes that side a little bit more, and he ends up crowding Chiesa, and Chiesa in turn has nowhere to really go, and they just bunch themselves up. So, hey, one thing Max Allegri did say, though, yesterday in his presser, we're not going to be changing setups immediately, okay? But that does not stop him from doing it in the future. So I think eventually, once we're full go, I think Max is going to change it up. I think he's going to change it up. The fullbacks will be what I question, but if you've got all these guys back and fit, why not? Why not at least see a 4-3-3 or potentially a 4-2-3-1? Why not at least see it? Omer, your thoughts?
Yeah, we have to see it, and we have been seeing it. I think he's going to change to that formation in every match until he starts with that formation. But we've seen it in almost all the games in January so far. He has shifted to a 4-3-3, whatever you want to call it, mainly because Chiesa was on and off and still coming back from injury. But when everyone's fit, has to be. We can't stay with, Sandro in the middle of the defense, and I don't see him dropping Danilo anytime soon. Danilo is the leader, so best case scenario is pushed to the right and four-man back line, but it will take a few more games.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, I tell you. Quadrado, he's got some frustration. DeScilio, see what happens today, but maybe, just maybe, we get some of the youngsters in there. We'll have to see. But McKennie, this was the funny thing, is that he was actually doing an okay job out there. He was doing an okay job. So the funny thing becomes that Juve's got to get some sales. They've got to do some sales. I don't disagree with moving McKennie by any means, but it's kind of a frustrating thing when you're looking at a move like that to set you up to get a fullback, and then you can't, and you don't, because it ends up being, for the time being, a 1.5 million euro loan. So we'll see. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully Juventus gets the sale. That can be said of a few other players that people keep forgetting. And I mean, Sakari is one of them. Arthur, I fully anticipate to come back and be this issue for Juventus and something they have to deal with. But we will see. I have a friend from Juve official fan club, Empire State, with all this going on. And we were talking about subscriptions being canceled and everything. We're going to bring him in and just he can speak to essentially what the fan clubs are doing and organizing and whatnot. And then if he wants to stick around for the rest of the Juve Monza preview and whatnot, he can do that as well. So we're going to get Tal in here and get him going here. So let's see here. Oh, I need him. 1 second while I work on this.
Okay, so far I'll talk about Allegri's presser a bit. That was a weird presser. Like, he gave us tons of stuff. He basically confirmed McKennie, which is odd for a press conference and for Allegri. And we didn't expect Chiesa going out. That came out of nowhere, but if it is what it needs to do, like he said, it's a minor thing. He's back from a long injury, so it needs to be managed properly. I think he said all the right things regarding the team and everything, and I don't know, the team looks better, more united on that front. So he had recently, since this debacle has started, his press conferences were great, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's that presser, and I'm still working on Tal here and getting him in here. I don't know. Do you think a lot of it's the shift? Like, since all this has gone down, like, this is what, a few pressers now, and there's a shift there. It's a bit different.
Yeah. He's acting different. He kind of understood the role he has to take in all of this scenario that we have now. And, he's taking it head on. He's just grabbing the bull by the horns and leading the team forward as a manager should do.
Yeah.
So I'm impressed, to be honest. He has done a fine job.
Yeah. Tal, how you doing?
I've been better considering, but I'm good.
Yeah, I hear you with all this and everything that's going on. We've got to figure this out and whatnot, but I've just, we got you live on the air here. Obviously, we want to hear from you, obviously representing Juventus official fan club, Empire State. What are the fan clubs doing out there, and in terms of this and everything going on, and this feeling of injustice that Juventini feel worldwide, really?
Well, I can't say it's new for us to feel this injustice. I think we've seen it based on reactions from other fans, even over the last 10 years of dominance. I think a lot of them like to forget that during their banter era, we were at our highest. And I think that's also why they are the loudest right now. That being said, though, we're all, and all the, when I say all of us, I'm saying all the fan clubs, especially in North America, where we have some form of coalition. We're all preaching unity, because in these uncertain times, we can only be Juventini together, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And, there are those that are deciding to show their support by canceling their subscriptions. If you're in the US and you're reliant on Paramount Plus, it's not like you can just cancel. There's like a we hate Serie A option and we'd like to pay less. That's not really available, even though I'm sure we all wish it was. And it is what it is. We're all kind of, like you say, it's day to day. I could get angry on a daily basis and get frothed up into a rage, but it doesn't always behoove me to do that. Again, it's unity. We're together in this, like we were all together during COVID, and we're just tired of this treatment. You know, it's turning us into, I think the best way I can describe it is, I remember a couple years ago, I was talking to a Dortmund fan and I told him I was a Juventus fan. And he goes, "Oh, what is it? So you like WWE, you like watching matches that are predetermined outcomes." And that's not just a reflection of Juve, that's a reflection of the league.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you were just saying earlier, you know, the damage is done once the accusation happens. And it's even more frustrating if you're remotely familiar with, you know, American or Western. I don't know how they do it in Canada, and I don't know how they do the legal system in other countries. I barely understand it, how it works here. But you can't make an accusation without the defense also knowing what your evidence is.
Yeah.
And we have no idea what evidence they're using against us at the moment.
Yeah, and not sorry to cut you off there, Tal. That's one of the major.
Leaving it open for you.
Yeah, that's one of the major things here is when you look at everything, the fact that we don't know, and we were just getting reports last week that there were pieces and documentation that were finally made available to Juve and its lawyers and whatnot, and it could actually dismiss a ton of the files that they're using in these cases. And I'm like, how do we not have this? Like, what is actually going on? So to say it's injustice is almost even an understatement. It's almost like there's nothing there whatsoever. And then you factor in the penalty that's already been dished out before a verdict, before we know the reasoning why, and the fact that the penalty doesn't correlate and stay in line with their previous precedent that they've set. So the whole thing is absolutely wild to me. And when you hear these sports lawyers come out in the papers and whatnot, they're talking about, and they're like, they can't even make sense of it. And it's not right. Like, something's going on, right?
Watching Milan earlier today, thinking about the whole plusvalenza gate, and one of the things that nobody's talking about, you know, people like to talk about the Osimhen deal and how that was shady, but Elliott Holding owns Lille and Milan, and they sold a player to themselves essentially. Like when the Boltman deal was going to go down and Boltman was going to go from Lille to Milan, how is that not also in question? When that's like Juve. If we bought Sassuolo and just started selling Sassuolo players to ourselves, it would never fly. It would never fly, even if we owned a team in another league. But if Man City was to do that with all of their ownership all over the world, and they were to transfer.
Yeah, and Omer's coming in here with he wants to touch on that too.
Yeah, it's not that weird because we have an even bigger organization who does it all the time, and it's Red Bull. Players from Red Bull Salzburg to Red Bull Leipzig, and even New York Red Bulls under the same company, and they're always transferring players between themselves. You have for Paris Saint-Germain and Man City, they're basically the sponsors of themselves, so they can use that to inject any type of money they want into the club. So a lot of hypocrisy here from everyone, including like Milan he mentioned, but it happens all the time between teams owned by the same guy. I mean, Lazio's owners had to get rid of Salernitana because they played in the same league and he had like a deadline to sell them. It happens.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of hypocrisy here. That's what Omer just basically stated in terms, especially like teams like PSG and whatnot. But I said this from the get-go. I said you are setting a very dangerous and it not only a dangerous precedent, it's something that you're not going to be able to regulate moving forward. And this is the part I struggle with the most, is that there are no definitive and clear rules that have been broken. The one case that does concern me is probably the salary case. That one is probably the only one I'd say I'm really concerned with. But still, if you're going to work that to a sporting related punishment stuff, you're reaching still in that. But regardless,
it's a heavy reach.
Yeah, it is.
I don't see how you punish. if we committed any crimes here, and it's a big if, because we know that there's just a standing Juve witch hunt all the time. Like, there's probably one guy at every team whose job is like to try to get whatever nefarious contacts he could get to try to find some dirt on us. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised at this point. If he's a communications liaison that doesn't seemingly do anything at every team. But it doesn't make sense to me that you commit a financial crime and suffer sporting consequences.
Yeah.
That's a big, misunderstanding. And I think the fact that they're jumping directly to sporting consequences is a sign that they probably have a case that's built on nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest thing for me is just, again, there are no registration parameters for Serie A. It's not like UEFA. They don't follow FFP in Serie A. So the last time this happened, we're only 5 years removed from when it happened to one of the big Milan clubs, and they were given more time. I can't stress that enough. So I'm with you. I feel something's up. It's a constant scrutiny Juventus is under, and it's time to push back. When the dust settles on this thing, I don't think they need to stop there. I think they need to keep pushing. We're going to wrap things up here. Tal, it's been great having you on. Everybody's commenting here. They're asking, are you at the stadium? I believe, no, you're still in the New York area. Tell us about what you guys got going on today for match day. So if anything, it's an early start. Go ahead.
It's an early game.
Yeah.
It's an early game here. So we don't typically have anybody around for early games. But I'm definitely sure that there's at least one of us at Legends. Legends is the bar where we watch games in New York City that every Juventino is welcome to if they're visiting. And that's where we watch games. I mean, we're more together now than ever. I think, if anything, this is just going to strengthen the Juventino community, and all of us just saying we're done with this and standing together is going to, again, make us stronger and make us. It's going to be, as bad as it gets. We all know we're going to be back.
Oh yeah.
We all know we're going to be back in some capacity, and when we come back, it's going to feel so much better. Just like it felt when we won that invincible season in 12-13.
Yeah.
Or was it 11-12?
11-12. And yeah, last time they sparked the controversy, we came back and had a decade of dominance. Let's make it 2 decades this next time. We have a question here. The bar is named Legends and whatnot, and we have someone in the chat here asking whereabouts is it located, because it looks like you're going to have some company.
It's on 33rd Street, right across the street from the Empire State Building.
There you go.
Hence why we are Empire State and not New York or Manhattan or whatever it is. There is another club. There's 2 other clubs in New York. There's Westchester, and then there's quote unquote New York. They're situated in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But
well, there you go. Yeah. Legends across from the Empire State Building. Say what's up to Marcella for us. She's been a guest. Tal, we got to have you on officially on the StreamYard at one point. And Joe Cappuccino, our own Joe Cappuccino, is part of that club too. So everybody reach out to Marcella, to Joe Cappuccino, to Tal here. Okay, you guys have a great Twitter account as well. Instagram, you can find them and reach out. I highly recommend joining an official fan club if they're in your area, because there's nothing like it. And now more than ever, like Tal said, we need to stick together. Tal, I want to ask you your match day prediction for this one before we say goodbye.
I want to win. We have a member named Sebastiano who's been a Juve fan longer than most of us have been alive put together. And he often says, when we're all arguing or talking before a match, he goes, I don't care who scores. I just want to win. And if it's not the most Juventino phrase that you can have, I don't know what is. To me, it's I don't care who scores. I just want to win. I don't care if they score 3 own goals, just like that win in the winter against Arsenal. I don't care.
All right.
I don't care if.
So are you going to drop a prediction?
Let's say 2-1 Juve.
There you go. 2-1 Juve. All right, Tal, I thank you for your time. Again, we will do this again. Take care. Enjoy the match today, and we'll talk soon, my friend. Forza Juve.
Forza Juve fino alla fine.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
All right, Omer. A lot to take in there, but these fan clubs are hot, man. They're hot.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they're
they're
leading
doing
the
great
charge.
work. Yeah, they're doing great work, and everyone probably seen on Twitter all the, working together, reaching out to each other, and just working as a unit as fans should do. And we haven't been that way for a long, long time, so it's heartwarming to see it.
It is. It is. And it's times like these, like I say, that it just, yeah, it strengthens that bond, whatever. And when you go through this, and it's good, but we need to be together right now. And we just follow their lead. All the subscription cancel, whatever. It's sending a message, but Juve ultimately has to push back against the league. I strongly believe in that. Juve Monza. Let's get to this one as we get close to. Man, we're getting close to kickoff, so we have lineups and everything. So let's take a look at this. The odds: Juventus Monza, Juve to win, obviously heavy favorites. It pays 1.5 times your money. A draw pays 4 times your money, and if Monza wins, it pays 6 times your money. But don't make that bet. Juventus coming off a draw against Atalanta, but a decent performance when we looked at it and everything. Monza
Very
coming
good.
off a draw against the mighty Sassuolo that just handed a thrashing to Milan. But we'll get into all this. So Monza basically 1 point back of us after this penalty and whatnot, but a brutal start. And then in comes Palladino, has kind of set them on the right pace. They're getting points, like I said, one behind us right now currently. They're going to line up in a 3-4-2-1. It's pretty standard for them as far as what you're going to see. 3-man defense. Probably going to see Santos and Mari Izzo flanked by Birindelli and Augusto. For us, we know what we're going to see. There was talks about maybe a change, but it's going to be pretty straightforward there for the lineup. Szczesny in goal. Gatti's going to get his minutes. Interesting to hear Romeo Agresti talk about Gatti saying, hey, he's good, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done there. And when he was talking about Houston, he's saying Houston's getting reps with the top guys in those training sessions and everything. And he's highly touted. Romeo Agresti's words were, Houston is actually first team ready. That was huge. But
And he's there. Like
he's
he's seeing the guys training. He's there for everything. So take his word on it. He knows what he's talking about.
Absolutely. So, Szczesny, Gatti, Bremer, Danilo, Kostic, Rabiot, Paredes, Fagioli, and DeScilio right across that middle. Kostic needs to pick things up. He's been struggling. He's got to get back into it and going. Fagioli, I like having him in that midfield. You absolutely have to have Fagioli in there in this one. It should, if anything, force Di Maria a little bit higher up because Di Maria is going to be just ahead of the midfield with Moise Kean starting up top. In terms, that's what we're going to see for lineups. We're just going to hit you with some key stats going into this one. Monza have only lost one of their last 6 games. All right. But it was to Juventus in that Coppa Italia match, 2-1. Okay. Juventus, if you take away that awful game we all want to forget about, that's the only loss that they've suffered in their last 10 outings. Okay. Juventus have picked up 24 points at home in Serie A this season. Only league leaders, Napoli, collecting more at 25. All right. Visitors, Monza, without a clean sheet in their last 8 games across competition. So expect Juve to score for sure. And Juve, we know goals have been let in a bit lately, but still second best defensive record. So player to watch for me, Di Maria. Di Maria is so crucial to what Juve does in this setup of the 3-5-1-1. But then when he enters, all eyes become on Paul Pogba, if you ask me. So, Omer, your thoughts on everything this one, what you kind of expect to go down, and who are your players to watch? Are they the same as mine? Let's get your thoughts, then we're going to get into predictions.
You summarized it pretty good, actually. You went for everyone. I am keeping an eye on Gatti every time he plays. De Chilio. I want to ask about Rabiot. You mentioned Costis dropping off after the World Cup. I can say the same for Rabiot. I think he's not at the level he was before. Like he didn't have any, something to be proud of, some performance that he really shined like before that. Maybe just, realizing he's gone. Maybe just World Cup fuel ran out. But I am keeping an eye on him because I think he's dropped recently, which might be good for us because it might push Pogba back in with Fagioli and Lucatelli. I am disappointed Lucatelli is not playing, but we have Lazio on Thursday, who just thrashed Milan. So tough game, and we should be aiming for the Coppa Italia. Keane and Di Maria will be interesting. I think the relationship between Di Maria and Milik was great so far. Let's see how it works with Keane. Obviously, we're all waiting for Vlahovic and Pogba to make their cameos. Too bad Chiesa is not available, but it is what it is. So I'll be watching everyone, like right side, left side. I'm observing and seeing what we can do further, but close eye on Rabiot and Di Maria, of course.
There you go. Now, I've said my piece in terms of this one. Pretty much just get out there, get the job done. Okay. De Chilio, first game back and whatnot, how that's going to go, who knows? But Di Maria is going to be big. Fagioli needs to continue the great form he's shown, coming off an absolutely great performance, and putting himself a lock in that midfield, if you ask me. I think he's made himself a lock. So let's continue that. We need to start solidifying things at the back. So I want to see a strong, confident showing from Gatti, Bremer, and Danilo. And let's see if Kostic can kind of pick things up a bit. Moise Keane, he's finding ways to contribute and get goals. I expect him to get a goal in this one, at least one. And I think Di Maria is going to get a couple of helpers. Let's get into our predictions as we wrap things up, Omer, and then I'm going to just slide over to the other software for the watch along. So everybody, reminder, like the video. Let's go with predictions, final score, and a couple tiebreakers. Omer, kick us off.
I think it's a 3-1. I don't want to call out the goal scorers, so I think it'll be a dominant performance by Juve. I hope they play the same way they played against Atalanta, because that was great. Let's take... I'm calling one red card in this game.
All right.
And possibly a set-piece goal. And I'll just mention, because you talked about Fagioli, even Juventus, official website uploaded some stats today, and one of them was how good Juve are with Fagioli and without Fagioli.
Yeah.
So maybe signaling to Max a bit from their own account.
There you go. I'm going to say 3-0 victory today for Juventus. I believe it's going to be 3-0. I think Keane's going to get one. I think Pogba, when he enters, sets something up. I don't think he's going to get one, but I think he sets a goal up. So I'll call like a Pogba assist.
He'll get a standing ovation when he enters. We'll hear the same thing we heard.
Man, I'm looking forward to it. I've always loved Paul, and I was excited when he came back. I get it with the injuries and everybody's concerns and whatnot, but I'm telling you, when this guy's heart and his head's into it, you look at him with the national team, he is second to none. He is an incredible player on his game, and I expect him to be driven and motivated for Juve finally getting a competitive match. When he steps in, look out. And I hope to see it. So I'm going to call a Pogba assist, a Keane goal. And I think we'll, you called a set piece goal. I was going to call a set piece goal too, but 3-0 for me, 3-1 for you. let's get into it. Omar, great match day live. We had to kick things off about a half hour early, but now I'm going to shift things over to the watch along. Everybody who's here, again, like the video, and then just get out of this vid, go right into the next one. Okay, I'm going to share my live reactions. I'm going to call the action for you, and I want to see your live reactions with me. Okay, Omar, any closing thoughts as we say goodbye before this match?
Forza Juve, let's get it. Start the winning tradition back on. Let's get on a run. This is the first day of the rest of the season. Let's kick it off with a good start.
There you go. Forza Juve, fino alla fine. Everybody, I'll see you in a couple minutes on the watch along. Ciao, tutti.